This is a yin class, and yin is helpful for your energy, particularly if you're tired. So if you're feeling tired today, this is a great class for you, and you will need a bolster. So we're going to start in butterfly pose. So if you sit upright, give your legs a little shake out, have your bolster ready. Bring one leg in and give it a little bit of a movement side to side, just to free up the hips. And then draw the heel in and the calf and the thigh together, and then place the foot down. So you've got a nice bend in the knee, and the other side. Draw the heel towards you, plant the feet together, and then adjust. So if you find that you're collapsing, you get your blanket, which hopefully you have, fold it, and create a little lift underneath your seat so that you're not overly collapsed. You want to feel a sense of lift, much easier with a slight lift in your bottom. Then you get your bolster. So a yin class, we want to feel a stretch. It's not a restorative, it's a little different. We want to feel the stretch, but we are here for longer. So it doesn't want to be too intense to start. And we're going to be in this pose for around about 4 minutes. So now coming forwards and either resting your hands on the bolster, resting your elbows on the bolster. If you don't have a bolster, you can hold onto your ankles and just fold forwards. You could even use your bolster in a different way. So playing around, you can, if it's a chunky one, you can bring it at an angle and rest your head on top of it. So there's lots of different ways. Because we're here for a while, play around and then eventually settle. You can feel that this is a deep stretch through the hips and the groins. At first, you might want to adjust and fidget, which is absolutely fine, but then see if you can let go of moving and become still in the asana, the pose. And then begin to slow the breath down a little bit. Practice Ujjayi breaths. Light and gentle breath in the background, feeling the brush of air along the nasopharynx where the nasal passages join the throats. Try to balance the in and the out breath so that you're not more powerful with the in or out, but they're equal in their length and their tone. If you feel a release in the shape, you can do a movement by going deeper into it, but there's no forcing and you're listening to the body. If you feel that it's quite challenging to you, you could always pull back gently, but try not release fully. Try to stay in the shape and really feel the experience of the challenge without injuring yourself. So make sure you listen to the body, but at the same time, you're also seeing how much you can stay with the discomfort of the stretch, as long as it's not an injury you're working against. Because after a while, what happens is it becomes quite intense in a yin practice. And sometimes the mind just wants to escape. So you try and become still with it, to observe the discomfort. And then eventually what will happen, as you give that discomfort space, it will release. And within that release, there's a freeing of energy. Maybe you can even feel your fingers tingling or warmth in your face. And you're not really doing much. So after this next breath now, there's 4 minutes gone. You rise up. You release. Bring the knees together. And shake those legs out. And you would have felt that through the hips and groin. So it's quite nice to gently massage the area. But if you sit upright and close your eyes, maybe you can feel energy. So my hips, for instance, feel warm. But you might feel a tingling or a pulsing. Now we'll do a similar shape, a wide-legged child's pose. So coming into all fours and then sitting back on your feet. You want to really widen out the knees as much as you can, keeping the big toes touching behind you. You get your bolster again. So if the knees are too close, it's going to be more restorative. You want to feel the inner thigh stretch. And as you lay your tummy down, your tail lengthens back so that you feel the slight tug in the groins and the inner thighs. And then you turn your head one way. And you settle in. As you settle in, you slow the breath down. You try to relax into the stretch. You'll find that some of the poses you enjoy more than others. Let your breath be slow, relaxed. Let go of all fidgeting and movement. And by becoming still, you begin to sort of absorb any energy that releases in the pose. Yin Yoga is a calming practice. It helps to restore not only the energy, but our body and mind. Now lightly turn the head the other way. Throughout the practice, keep a slowed breath pattern. So we're not just breathing normally, we're including the Ujjayi breath within each pose. And we're trying to balance it. 4 in, 4 out, 10 in, 10 out, whatever works for you. 3 more breaths here. As you finish this final breath, lightly push yourself back up. Once you're up, you roll out the shoulders. So that pose can help open up the back channels of the body as well as the inner thighs. So we're going to do a little back bend, and it is quite nice to use the bolster if you have one. If you don't have one, you could do the same pose, but without it. So we're doing Anahatasana. If you bring your forearms to the bolster, walk the knees further back until you're able to lengthen your seat without it hitting the bottom. So the seat is above the knees, and rest your head either on the floor or the bolster. You're then letting the chest melt down towards the ground as the tail lengthens away from the elbows. So it's a little shoulder freer. You can bring the hands in prayer to point up to the sky. Now my bolster's actually not got much. It's a bit squidgy for me for this, so I'm going to come to the floor, but it's the same pose. Forehead down, elbows to the floor, hands in prayer, tail lengthening back, making sure the tail is not on the heels, but above the knees. The key here is to ensure that you lengthen the seat back away from the elbows, so you get that lovely stretch along your spine and through your chest. Then you become still and you begin to allow the chest to sink towards the earth whilst lengthening the seat back. So there's no lumbar collapse. Smooth out the texture of your breathing. Feel the shoulder blades wrap back behind your heart. Each time there's a subtle shift, you feel a bit more come to you. You lengthen tail and melt heart down. Then we'll slowly lift the head and keep the forearms where they are, hands to the floor, and shift forwards. Adjust in Sphinx pose, a different kind of back bend. You're pushing into the forearms to lift up the chest and draw the shoulders back away from the ears, closing your eyes. The toes pointing straight back. And if you find it quite difficult to stay here, because we're going to be here for a few minutes, then a nice option is to use your bolster, just in case you're like, oh, this is hard, to slide it towards you. So you're in Sphinx, but your lower front rib cage is on the bolster. So it's much, much easier. You still get the beautiful stretch through the front line of the body, but it's not so hard to hold yourself up. So really helpful if you do struggle with Sphinx pose. Now, whether you've chosen the bolster or not, become still in the shape. Let go of the constant adjusting. Close your eyes and you're thinking about freeing the energy channels, all the different shapes, the forward bends, the twists, the back bends. They open up the different planes of the body, the sides, the front, the back. They twist along the spine, and this frees up the nadis, the energy channels, and energy begins to flow, which means we feel better. So usually after yoga, we feel better. We feel more balanced, more calm, more activated. Stay with this for about another minute. And then slide the hands back and push back up to sit. And as you sit on your feet, you can do that little cat cow kind of stretch. It's freeing up the spine. Before sitting and observing the experience by closing your eyes. If you want to become more aware of energy, then stilling the mind is really important. So closing the eyes, dropping inwards and sensing the experience before rushing off onto the next thing. Excellent. So the next pose is actually a supported bridge pose, which we can use our bolster with. My bolster is now becoming a little flat in the middle. So I'm going to give it a little bit more height just by rolling a blanket and placing it underneath my bolster. So I've got some more height there. So you might have quite a flat bolster. You might like to do the same thing. So we're going to put our sacrum on the bolster. The easiest way to do this is to sit on the bolster with our feet on the floor. And then carefully, with the hands behind you, slide your bottom as if it's coming off the bolster. So you can feel the sacrum on the bolster and carefully lower down, bringing your shoulders and head to the floor. Once your shoulders and head are down, push into the elbows, squeeze the shoulders together behind you, and then let the palms face upwards. Feet under knees. We want to have the hips higher than the shoulders for the supported bridge pose, and working firmly down into the feet and lengthening the knees away from the heart. So supported bridge is a really nice way to practice because we don't have to come out of it so quickly. We can stay for a few minutes in the shape. Feel that you're lengthening the front line of your body from the knees to the collarbones. We could make that even more expansive by bringing the elbows to the floor out in line with the shoulders, and then let the hands fall behind the elbows, but this doesn't always work for everybody. So if the wrists don't touch the floor, then simply bring the palms back down by your sides. If the wrists touch the floor, keep the arms in cactus. And close your eyes now and become still. No more fidgeting or adjusting. Slow the breath down. Smooth the breath out. And bring balance to both the in and the out breath. If you have a particularly busy mind today, sometimes it's actually nice to give your mind something to focus on. And you could either focus on counting, so you could count, say, inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. So that's quite nice. Or you could use a little mini statement. As you inhale, I inhale calm, ease. I exhale calm, ease. You could make anything up. If you have your own little sankalpa, you could repeat it as you inhale, maybe a part of it, and the other part as you exhale. So you're doing something with your mind to help lessen the distractions you may be experiencing. You try to relax the weight of the sacrum into that bolster for the final minute or so. Now we'll start to think about coming out of it. Because we've created quite a height under the seat, try not to sit straight up. So a good way to release is to come onto the balls of your feet and push the bolster down towards the backs of the knees, then kick the bolster out with your feet. If there's a blanket there, move the blanket off as well, so that you lay your back down on the ground and let it settle on the ground. Nice to rest your hands on your tummy and to feel the subtle rise and fall of your belly here. And then you slowly roll to the side and sit back up. Okay, so a little lateral stretch. So I mentioned the different movements free up different energy channels. So we want to open up the sides, and we can do a yin pose using our bolster, or if you haven't got a bolster, a rolled blanket. Have the right leg out to the side and tuck the left leg in. If there's a lot of hip issue, you can prop up the knee. If it feels uncomfortable, you could always straighten the leg out to the side as well. And we're basically coming into this lateral stretch. So we're pulling the bolster underneath the ribs and then coming over it. Actually straighten out both legs. I think that's going to feel easier on the body, yeah. And you can bend the elbow and rest the head on the hand, or you can stretch the top arm over and tug on the wrist. So whatever feels good. Sometimes actually even interlacing the hands behind the head is quite nice. The key is that you want to feel a lateral stretch, and you want to feel like you can stay in this for a couple of minutes at least. So play around, have a little play and see what feels best. Some people like the arm stretch. They feel they can stay there with it. Others like to hold the wrist. But remember, we are here for at least 2 minutes in this shape. Now beginning to slow the breath down. And smooth out the texture. Feel that left side body is lengthening and opening, which means the left side of the spine is now longer than the right side. And as space opens up, you adjust. If you need to change your arms, I've changed mine, you go for it, so that maybe your head feels more supported. Staying there for about another minute. You'll feel your body opening. Feel more room coming into the stretch. The top arm will now release, and you'll carefully rise up. And you'll notice the difference between the two sides. If you bring the legs into a cross-legged seat and sit up, try and close your eyes and drop inwards and try and feel energetically how it is on the right side and the left side. So energetically, it could feel more expansive on one side or heavier. And then we'll do the other side. Legs out wide. That rolled blanket or bolster, which you squidge into your ribs. You could almost lean away from it to get it in that waist. And then come over it. You're turning to face the opposite leg. And definitely think about supporting your head. If you had a lot of yoga equipment, you might even have another bolster, which your head can lean on, which is quite nice. But otherwise, that hand interlace is quite good. And the top elbow is lengthening away from the hip. And as more space comes to you, eventually you might be able to release and you feel that you're able to rest there with ease. So a couple of minutes here, adjusting to start with, and then becoming still. And here you feel the space you're creating on the opposite side of your spine to the previous side. If you feel an opening, you go deeper. Feeling the side body becoming more spacious and free. And then you slowly rise. So again, bring your legs into that cross-legged seat. Release. And sit upright. So what we're trying to do in our practice, whether it's yin or restorative or a flow, is create more space for our spine and what's housed Just on the inner line of the spine is the Sushumna energy channel. So we want to feel there is freedom along the central line. So if you close your eyes and try and notice if there's freedom from the crown to the base of your spine. Then let's take the legs out wide again. Pull your seat back, perhaps using that little blanket. Get your bolster. Many different ways. You can have your bolster if it's chunky, at a little angle, and rest your head on it. That's quite nice. If you're quite stiff, you could get it snuggled in. If you're more flexible, pull the seat back and come down onto your elbows. You could lay all the way over the bolster, so whatever works for you. But thinking about length rather than collapse. So the seat lengthens back and the spine lengthens forwards. You feel the stretch on the inner thighs. Roughly 3 minutes here. As always, you smooth the breath out. You try and bring a balance to the in and the out breath so they mirror one another. You give your mind a focus, perhaps counting that breath or simply watching it. When more space is created in the body, you can go deeper, but feel that this is mindful movement. Feel yourself sinking for the last minute into this yin pose as deeply as you can manage. And then you slowly rise. As you come up, bring the legs together and give them a little shake out. Cross the legs. Just do a little twist to one side and fold over it. Then come up, twist to the other side and fold over it. Come up. Center yourself. Lengthen your spine. Feel into the experience. Now bring your hands together to seal that yin practice in. Remembering that by slowing down, you more easily perceive what's going on in your body and in your mind. And over time, perhaps even perceive the flow of energy within you. Namaste. So do that anytime you feel you need to slow down.